What's up everybody, it's Andrew Cuts here. So in this video I'm going to be doing a mid fade with a 360 mirror by Lipfi's Barbershop. You guys can get this mirror, it's a really good mirror. This is my second time using this specific mirror, I think, and I'm really liking it so far. But as you can see here, I have my trimmers and I'm going to be setting in my initial bald guideline. Usually I go all the way around my head when I do these steps, but for the sake of this video I'm going to do one side and then I'm going to do the other. So as you can see, after I made the line, I'm just balding out everything below that point. These are the Babyliss FX trimmers. I really like them. As you can see, it's bringing that hair right down to the skin. You really just want to take your time with this step, as this is going to be the foundation for the whole haircut. Just take your time, make sure it's nice and neat, and make sure you're getting every hair when you're balding this out, especially around the ears. Alright, so now I'm going to set in this next guideline using the no guard open, and I'm going to be going up about an inch. And you want to keep in mind, same as before, you just want to be nice and neat, be nice and consistent. And like I mentioned, usually I go all the way around my head with these steps, and that's what I would recommend you guys to do. But for the sake of this video, for the sake of filming, I'm going to do one side and then I'm going to do the other. Alright, so now that we set that guideline in, I like to go in next with my one closed. And with the one closed, I go up about just about an inch, maybe a little bit shy of an inch. But as you can see, by making this next guideline, it puts a tiny line in between those two sections we just made, which we'll take out with our half guard in a little bit. So now what I like to do is just remove all that bulk that's left. I got my 2-guard open, and I'm pretty much just going straight up. By going straight up, we're going to be blending right into the top of our hair. So you kind of just want to envision your head as a box and literally just ride that clipper straight up until there's no more hair being cut. So as you can see there, I just kind of pointed out the 3 lines that we have to work out in order to finish this fade. So we're going to be starting with this bottom guideline, and I'm starting with my lever all the way closed. I have no guard on, and I'm flicking this line up about 1/4 of an inch. When you're doing this, you just want to have a light hand, make sure you're not digging into the skin too hard. So next we're going to open the guard up to about halfway, and we're going to flick that line up another 1/4 of an inch. You want to keep in mind, when we're fading out this bottom line, we're not going above that line that's directly above. You want to stay below that next line. So now we have our lever 3/4 of the way open, and we're just flicking this line out the rest of the way. So now that bottom line is mostly blended out, we're going to begin working out this next line using our half guard with the lever all the way closed. And since we went in with our one closed to make this guideline, it's going to come out nice and easy using the half guard. And if you don't have a half guard, you can go in using your no guard open and just use the corners to break up that line. So now we're going to work on this next line using our our one guard open, and we're just going to be flicking at this line. So as you can see, it took that line out for the most part. Now we're just going to come in with our 2 closed and make sure that there's like no dark areas or lines that are left over. You want to remember, we use the 2 open to blend into the top of our hair, so the 2 closed is just going to kind of clean up everything and bring the fade all together. So now usually I like to come in with my 1.5 guard just to clean up that top section, clean up any dark spots that there might be. But since I don't have a 1.5 guard for this specific clipper, I'm just going to come in with my 1 open and just use the corners. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just having a really light hand, breaking up any dark spots or lines that I see. So oftentimes this bottom line is going to be the hardest line to get out. So what I like to do at the end is I go in with my trimmer, and I pretty much just use the corners only to break up any bit of that bottom line that's still left over. So now we're gonna add another transition to this fade using our foil shaver. You wanna keep in mind, you don't wanna go too high with these foil shavers or else you leave a harsh line. So keep the foil shaver below the fade, and as you get up into where the fade starts to get dark, you wanna make sure you're flicking up with your foil shavers. So now what I like to do here, just to make sure that bottom line is completely blended out, is I go in with my shavers going downward, and you just are gonna lightly tap downward at that bottom line, and it should get rid of anything that's left over. So now I'm gonna line myself up here. I don't like to go crazy with the lineup, just kind of hit those baby hairs that are hanging over. You wanna keep in mind when you're doing a lineup on yourself, you can always take more hair off, you can always go further back with the lineup, but once you push it back, there's really no going back from that point. So just really take your time, go in very, very small increments until you have the desired look that you want. These trimmers are really hitting good. These are the Babyliss FXs, like I said. I didn't adjust them or anything. I just used them right out of the box, and they're hitting really well. So as you can see there, I'm hitting those C cups, getting them nice and defined. If you can figure out how to line yourself up sharp, that's really, in a lot of cases, that's 90% of the fade. You can really save a bad fade with a good lineup, but you could also ruin a good fade with a bad lineup. So like I said, take your time with it, and really just learn your hairline. So now I'm just trimming up underneath my beard. Once again, I don't like to go crazy with it, just kind of hit anything that's sticking out of the shape that I want. Now I'm hitting that top line. So now I'm going with my foil shavers just underneath of that beard, bringing everything down to the skin. And here I got my straight razor out. I'm just kind of hitting those edges. The trimmer is what's going to set in that lineup, and then the straight razor is what's really going to make it pop, make it sharp. As you can see, I'm stretching that skin and just being real light with the straight razor. I'm just going up and down with it. I'm not going side to side. And as you can see, just going in with that straight razor, it just makes that fade pop a little bit more. All right, so now we got that one side down. We're gonna go over to the other side and do the same exact steps over here. So as you can see, I'm setting in that initial guideline, and now I'm gonna bald everything out below that point. And just real quick, I've had a lot of people comment on my previous videos that, you know, it's harder than it looks. I messed up the first time, and I just want to say that's a common thing. Cutting your own hair is not something that's easy. It's not something that you can just pick up overnight. It takes trial and error. It takes time to learn your head, your hair. So don't get discouraged if you mess up the first time. Just keep practicing and work your way through the steps. And I'm a true believer that anybody can cut their own hair. So now I'm coming in with my no guard open, going up about an inch, just like we did on the other side, keeping that guideline nice and neat. So now we're going with the one closed, going up about another inch. Oh, and these clippers are the Oster fast feeds. They're the home front editions. I really like these clippers. They're really good for fading, and they're one of the cheapest fading clippers that you can get today. So, and now I'm going with my two open, just like we did on the other side. I'm just blending that hair on the sides into the top by going straight up. So now we're going to start working at that bottom line, starting with our lever all the way closed with no guard on, flicking it up 1/4 of an inch just like we did on the other side. So now we're moving that lever to halfway open, and we're just going to flick that line up another 1/4 inch. And now we're going 3/4 of the way open with our lever, and we're just flicking out any bit of that line that's left over. So now we're moving on to our next line that we have to fade out, and we have our half guard on with the lever all the way closed, and very gently we're just gonna flick that line all the way out. So now we're going to go in with our 1 open, start working out that next line. And now just to clean that area up the rest of the way, we're going to go in with our 2 closed and blend in to where we went in with our 2 open. So as you can see, that fade is really coming together now. And just to take things a step further, we're just going to do a little bit of detail work using our 1 open, using just the corners. Like I said before, if you have a 1.5 guard, you could also use that in this scenario as well. Now moving on to the lineup on this side. This 360 mirror makes it really easy for lineups, just because you can adjust your mirrors and really see your lineup and your hairline from a lot of different angles, and you kind of attack it from a lot of different ways. If you're just looking head on in a mirror, it can kind of be hard to see how far you need to go back with your trimmers and whatnot. So this mirror definitely makes it a lot easier. So now we're adding this final transition to our fade, going in with our foil shavers, keeping them nice and low, especially if you're a beginner. You definitely do not want to go too high with your trimmer or your foil shaver, or else you will end up leaving a harsh line if you go too high. So take a look at where the fade starts to get dark, and make sure you're well below that point. Make sure you're flicking out as well with your shavers. Now I'm just cleaning up my beard on the other side here. If you guys aren't subscribed to my channel, definitely hit the subscribe button for me. I was growing my beard out for 100 days, and I tracked my growth every single day. I took a picture. I'm going to be dropping that video soon, so you guys can see what 100 days of natural growth looks like. And then I did a video of me shaving it as well, so subscribe so you guys can check that video out. So now I'm just hitting that line up with the straight razor. I'm using the Elegance straight razor. I didn't really show too much of like the beard fade and the lineup for the beard, because I have a lot of videos on my channel of how to fade your beard, how to line it up and whatnot. So if you guys want a more in-depth tutorial on how to do your beard, definitely go check out my channel. Same thing goes for the eyebrows. I did just put a tutorial out for how I do my eyebrows more in depth, so you guys can check that out too. But here I'm just kind of going around the edges, cleaning things up a bit. So now that the fade is pretty much complete, I'm just going around the edges, making sure all that neck hair and stuff is taken off. And this is pretty much the final result here, guys. So let me know what you guys thought down in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. I want to give a shout out to Lipfi's Barbershop once again for hooking me up with this mirror. I hope all you guys can learn something from this, and it gives you a little bit of confidence to try to cut your own hair. If you're not subscribed already, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.